Today, we are going to talk about search. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence, scientists scanning the universe for signs of intelligent life. On decades of search, they've only found to this day one strong signal, and we finally know where it came from. So this is what they didn't want you to know about Portal. We are using extraterrestrial technology to build it. What do you mean everybody already knew it? Okay then, moving on. What's search and why is it so cool? In the dawn of the internet, in a time where all websites fit in a single hard drive, search engines were invented with the purpose of finding text in websites to retrieve them. But soon, they realized you could do more with search than just searching for text. You could search for several kinds of data. You could use your search results and pile searches on top of searches. You could suggest new searches from the ones that were done. So now we live in a time where you use search to give a digital experience to your users. Liferay is all about building a digital experience, building applications and sites where your customers, your users, can do things they wouldn't be able to replicate in real life. And today you have billionaire business who use search, and you can't see the boundary between search and the business. And this is what you want to do with Liferay Portal. And in order to do it, we have to understand the basics of search, so we know how well to use it. At the heart of the search engine, there is the index. The index stores all the documents you want with all the data you want to search. You store this data in fields in your documents so you can retrieve them. Well, this is not so different. You have the good old relational database to do all of that. Well, similarities end here. Because when you are storing data in a search engine, you can use very expressive notation to store ad hoc documents where you don't need a predefined schema. And together with the old field types you have, you can do deep nested document storing. You can have arrays, and all of it completely at your control. And when you are querying for this data, you can use simple query notation like the first, or you can have very complex and expressive notation for your searches, expressed as JSON, with several conditions combined to get your results in the way that you are used to with relational databases, or scored results. That's where full text search implemented by modern search engines really distinguishes it from relational databases. So you don't necessarily need an exact match. You can have a partial match. Your results are scored by relevance, so you can show them in the order your user needs. You can also disassemble your data and your search strings in several ways. So you have the freedom to implement your searches the way it's more convenient for your use cases. For example, if you need really simple searching, you can just split your data in search terms by white space. But if you need sophisticated searches on your data, you can use analyzers that trim words to the roots, so you can find all other words in the English language that have the same roots. And that's how you can get search results like you get at Google and other modern search engines. Of course, you can have mappings for your field. So if you have a field that needs to be strictly numeric, you can define it. And you also can have strings that will be not analyzed at all. So you can have perfectly exact matches. But after all, what you really want to do with the results is to be able to do groupings and calculations. So this is an example of a very sophisticated operation you can do with search results. It's basically what you would get from SQL where clause with group by, but to the max power. Not only you can filter, so you want all the employees with last name of Smith, but you also group them by interest. So you know there are 2 employees with an interest in music, and their average age is 28.5, and you can perform all sorts of combined and nested calculations with your search results. It's great when you want to build an application that is more than just search. And we give it to you in Liferay Portal through our search infrastructure. On the left, you have Liferay Portal with all the assets you know and love. You can have web content, message boards, wiki pages. And to the right, you have the search engine. You want to index and store all of your assets as documents in the index. And the search infrastructure is where this magic happens. Now, I heard this is a developer conference, so you are all developers, and I heard developers love to see code, so I put a lot of code in the presentation for you. The first stop in the Liferay search infrastructure is the search engine interface. We have several implementations of it. The Elasticsearch search engine, the Solr search engine, and you won't need to know which one is being used. It's all, regardless of the actual implementation, you can work with the interfaces. And for each actual implementation, we define mapping files for all fields, for all assets in Portal, using the different search engines notation for each one. For every Portal asset, we have an indexer, so we can get the fields we want from journal articles, from message boards, build document objects with this data, and send it to the search engine. And the other way around, we can use the same indexers to get what your user types in the search box and add these search terms to a query or a filter in order to send this query or this filter to the search engine in order for your data to be found. You don't need to read all this code here, okay? You can download the slides later, no problem. So here are some typical query types we have in Portal. You can have queries to find exact terms. You can have wildcards to find by pattern. You have range queries and range filters to find by range. Sophisticated strings to use the Lucene query notation directly. And you can have a Boolean query or filter to combine all of them into a big, nice query that you can send to the search engine and find really specific results. We provide APIs in Solr for you to build all these queries and filters, and we use the search engine's client Java APIs to talk to the search engine in the background. And that's how we close the circle and the search results are returned. This all is available for you in Liferay 6, but there is a lot of nice new things, cool stuff we have in Liferay 7 that I'm now going to show you. In Liferay 7, the biggest change is our default search engine is now Elasticsearch. It used to be Lucene, and now when you start a Liferay instance, it's going to start with an embedded Elasticsearch by default. So it just works, just as always. But in Liferay 6, your only choice to have a remote cluster in a search engine was Solr. And now, you can use Elasticsearch to build a remote cluster. So with the same skill set, you can use both embedded and remote modes. Mind you, your Liferay instance will run with an embedded Elasticsearch by default, but for reasons I'm going to explain later, you will want to run a separate Elasticsearch instance in production. Of course, we are not leaving Solr behind. We are upgrading Solr to 5.x, and we are also going to support the Solr Cloud. We also have several new features that, regardless of the search engine, you will be able to use, like new query types, a ton of them, in fact, from the ever-popular more like this query. So you will finally be able to find results that are similar to results you just got from the search engine. The highly requested this max query, you won't need to write a post-processor or configure your mappings file anymore to use a DisMax query. The match query that allows you to search for phrases or most terms or best terms at query time, really powerful. Or the fuzzy query where you can scramble letters on your search terms to find more results. So it's a lot of power, and we also have new filters. For those who don't know, a filter is pretty much the same as a query, but without the scoring part. So it has performance benefits, and you can cache the results if you are not interested in displaying results sorted by relevance. If you just want a match, doesn't match scenario. So you can now do filters by prefix. They are really fast, more than wildcard queries. In situations where you have to deal with no values, you have now the exists and the missing filter. And the best of all, the query filter, where you can take any query you had and express it as a filter, drop the entire scoring part, and cache the results to benefit for the search engine performance improvements with cache results. The highly requested geolocation filters, now you will finally be able to find all the developer conferences that are 100 meters from your mobile phone, or from 50 to 100 meters, and with the range filter, or in a rectangle 50 to 100 meters wide, or you can just find all the conferences in the perimeter of Darmstadt. Query time boosting, another highly requested feature, where you can finally tell Portal that Liferay Portal in a document title should appear first in the results, then Liferay Portal in the content. And new aggregations, sophisticated calculations like the top hits, where you can ask for all your conferences, and for each one of them, what is the talk with the highest number of attendees? So you don't need to perform one query to get the results and then calculate manually on them. This all happens at the search engine level. Statistics for the grouped results. Lots of them. And modularity, which was really a big improvement for us in the search infrastructure team. Liferay 7 is going OSGI all the way, and we're able to leverage this in the search infrastructure. First thing, this is really good, is the default search engine in Liferay. It used to be Lucene, and now it is Elasticsearch, but our implementation is a plugin by itself. So not only you can replace it with other implementations just by hot deploying it, but also if we need to release fixes or improvements, we don't need to patch core portal anymore. We can roll out new releases of the Elasticsearch implementation. We can follow new versions for the tool. So this is nice. And also, we have lots of new extension points, so you can contribute settings at several levels in the search engine. You can contribute settings for the cluster, for the specific index settings, so you can fine-tune your shards. And we want to be able to finally give you a chance to contribute at the field level mapping. So for those of you who are used to tweak the schema XML in Solr to include settings for sophisticated searches in certain DDM fields you're creating, now we want to give you an easier option to contribute the settings, but these extension points are going to be available for the Elasticsearch implementation. So if you are using Solr, you will still need to tweak the schema XML, unfortunately. And so let's talk a bit about Elasticsearch and what it brings to us, search engine-wise. Elasticsearch is a really cool tool. It has several advantages. It is Lucene-based, which is great for us to keep a large portion of our skill set coming from Liferay 6. It has great support. Actually, Liferay is now an OEM partner for Elasticsearch. It gives us a lot of benefits that I'm going to talk more about them later. So they have great support, and their monitoring tools are top-notch. You should really watch the talk about the ELK stack tomorrow, Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana. If you are interested in search, it's a good chance for you to see what Elasticsearch is all about. But for developers, that's our case, it's great too. To begin, it's open source, just like Liferay. So in several times that I have to solve problems, I just opened their source and debugged. It's really simple, and it has amazing documentation. It's one of the best documentations I've ever seen. It just works. You can just start several Elasticsearch instances, and they connect to themselves and form a cluster. You really need it to see it, to understand. And for queries, health, administration purpose, you do everything with a REST API. So you can actually start your Liferay portal instance, open your browser if you want, and you start to get statistics and health using your browser or your command line. They have great client API in Java, and they produce a lot of pretty JSON you can use in your presentations at DEVCON. The clustering we will have, combining Liferay and Elasticsearch, we will still have the well-known modes for remote and embedded. You will want to use the embedded mode for development purposes. So you start one Liferay instance, you see it at the right, and a cluster of Elasticsearch instances will form automatically under your Liferay instances. However, when you go in production, you will really want to move to a model where your Liferay cluster is separate from the Elasticsearch cluster, because to begin, the JVM arguments are really different. And Elasticsearch being a product, it's very well fine-tuned to use the right arguments, the right configurations to give optimal performance. But Liferay needs its own configurations, and in order to avoid conflicts, you would better to separate your concerns. It's going to work embedded mode. You can have a small cluster for testing purposes, but Liferay, Elastic itself doesn't support, their support does not support embedded mode, and Liferay support is also not going to support embedded mode in Liferay 7, but we will support the standalone mode, so you really should go this direction. You can also scale Elasticsearch much better now with a separate cluster. You can have several different kinds of nodes, so you can have nodes that don't hold data at all. You can have nodes that only hold data. You can have master nodes that orchestrate everything. So if you are really serious about search and you have lots and lots of data, you will want to learn more about this to fine-tune your cluster for optimal results. And for our enterprise subscribers, there are several nice treats. Beginning with Shield. There is the security solution from Elastic. You can protect your cluster with a username and password, prevent access from machines that are not from your Liferay portal instances with IP filtering, and you can encrypt all traffic within your cluster from and to your cluster. You don't need a separate solution, an external solution for that. It is a plugin for your Elasticsearch cluster, so you just deploy it and it just works. You will also get Marvel, the monitoring tool from Elastic, and with it you can monitor the nodes that enter your cluster and join your cluster, CPU usage, memory usage, several statistics, and as you can see, you will be able to monitor them from within your Liferay portal instance as a portlet. And finally, since Marvel is built on top of Kibana, you also get Kibana as a visualization tool for your data. It allows you to, you'll be able to use your Liferay portal data and build several charts and graphs on top of it. And for other indexes you want to use in your Elasticsearch cluster, today, big data and data science are the future of search. That's what we are heading. And with tools like this, you can do it in your project too. And with Liferay 7, you will be able to do it with your applications in Liferay portal. So, thank you for being here. If you have further questions, you can search for me in the Hack Center. Thank you and happy searching.